My name is Minji, and I'm 25 years old. I'm a Korean American, and I met my husband at college. We were both studying mechanical engineering, and we fell in love over an elective, global engineering. We dated for a year, and then he introduced me to his mother. That was enough for a lifetime. She made it immediately clear that she didn't like me. She didn't like anyone who wasn't a white American. We were out at a restaurant for dinner, just me, her, and my at-the-time boyfriend, Kenny.
Mom, this is Minji. Minji and I are in class together.
I didn't know you were studying maths.
I was struck dumb by the comment. It didn't make any sense at first, but then I noticed her sneering at me, and I realized she was making a racist comment.
Mom, we're both studying mechanical engineering. A lot of that is maths. You know that.
Yes, well, I think any time one of her kind is allowed into university for maths-based subjects, it's stealing a placement from someone who really deserves it. Do you know what I mean?
Not at all. My kind?
Asian, of course.
Right. And why don't deserve a place as much as anyone else?
Ha! Right. You've got a genetic advantage. My son had to actually work to get into his degree.
Mom, you can't just... What are you trying to say? Minji studied hard, like everyone did. I can't believe you're saying these things.
It's common knowledge, Kenny, that these Asian types have maths hardwired into their brains. They don't have to work for anything. And also, I want my grandkids tall.
I've never heard such drivel, but rest assured that I won't sit here and continue to listen. You're just a racist, and I don't want anything to do with you.
Good. That means you can leave my son alone.
No, Mom. I like Minji. I'm not going to stop dating her just because you say so.
Of course you will, Kenny. I am your mother. You have to do what I tell you to.
Don't be insane. I'm 20 years old. I can do what I want. And until you give up this depraved attitude.
I was so impressed with Kenny's attitude. He took my hand and we left the restaurant. When we got to the dorms that evening, he kissed me.
I love my mom, but I don't tolerate those attitudes. I never even knew she thought those things. But if she doesn't apologize, then I just won't meet with her again.
You don't have to do that.
Of course I do. I like you. And I love my mom, but I hate people who think and behave like that. I have a zero tolerance policy, you might say.
I knew I had found the love of my life then and there. We kept dating, graduated together, and then we both worked an internship at the same company that got us kick-started on our careers. By 23, we had an apartment, a job, and an endless future that we were ready to embrace. Kenny took me to my favorite park and got down on one knee.
Minji Peterson, you have kept me happier than I ever knew I could be. You've been a rock, you've been a light, you've been a constant, and I love you so much. Please, marry me?
I took the ring on my finger, and then he took me in his arms. I was elated. I wanted to spend all of my life with him, and he had finally proven to me that he felt the same way. We were preparing to marry the next year, by the time we were both 25. It was this decision that inspired me to talk to him about his mother again. He hadn't spoken to her in years, and although he never complained about it, I could tell that it was bothering him. I called her, I knew what she wanted, but I also knew that she wanted her son back too.
You're still together then?
Yes. Kenny asked me to marry him and I said yes. We love each other. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together, and I know that he misses you. I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk to him.
How sweet of you. Unless this is a trick?
No trick. Just an attempt to help you and your son reconnect. You deserve another chance.
Fine. But first, I want to meet you, to apologize.
Right. Well, when and where? She wanted to meet the next week. I was keen to put this behind us, but I also didn't want to keep anything from Kenny. So I told him about the meeting. He promised to stay out of the way, but he didn't want me to go alone, just in case she got verbally abusive with me. Kenny drove us to the address and decided to go into the restaurant earlier, so he could hide in a different booth and watch over us. When I showed up 10 minutes later, she still wasn't there. I waited, and then a waitress came over.
I'm sorry, but we just got a message from the woman who was due to meet you. She said she's sorry but can't meet with you today. She's paid for this drink for you, though. It's a Cosmopolitan. Do you want to move to the bar?
Oh no, thank you. My fiancé is just over there. We'll eat together, if that's okay. Is the Cosmopolitan a virgin?
You're free to eat here, and now it has alcohol in it.
I was surprised that she hadn't called me first. She had my cell phone number. Instead, she called me through the restaurant. There was no need. Kenny moved over to my table and took a long drink from the glass the waitress set down. We ordered food and chatted about how his mom never canceled plans before. As the meal progressed, I noticed that Kenny was getting pale and sweaty. Just before we considered ordering dessert, he toppled out of the chair. "I need an ambulance!" He looked bad. He was convulsing on the floor, and when the ambulance came, they bundled him onto a gurney and I followed them to the hospital. They found that he had been poisoned. The police questioned me while he was sleeping. I explained what we'd been doing, and the food we'd ordered to the table. They called the restaurant and had all the glasses and plates from our table were sent to forensics. Kenny was awake, but sore. They'd had to pump his stomach, and he was miserable.
Someone tried to poison me?
That's what the doctors are saying, but it doesn't make any sense. Who would try to hurt you? Just then, a police officer and a doctor came into the room.
Well, the poison has left your system entirely. If you'd delayed, you'd have died immediately, and the poison would have been untraceable by then. Do you have any idea who might do something like this? Does anyone have a vendetta against you? It wasn't for me. Pardon? At the dinner, I drank a cocktail that was meant for my fiancée, Minji. Oh? And where did this drink come from?
My dinner date canceled on me. She couldn't come for some reason or another and sent a drink to my table to apologize, but I don't drink alcohol. Kenny knows that, so he drank it for me. But it couldn't have been her. She called into the restaurant, so she wasn't there.
We'll review the security footage at the restaurant and get back to you. Until then, please do not talk to anyone. Give us the name of the person you were due to meet for the dinner date, please. It was my mother. Sorry, it's always hard when it's family. Rest well.
It was stressful waiting to hear back, so Kenny and I talked about our wedding. We made plans and talked about options, cakes and flowers, venues and guests. Neither of us wanted to talk about his mother, but then the police returned looking grim.
I have some bad news. We looked at the footage. It seems that your mother was at the bar when they made the drink and she spiked it. Meaning the drugs were intended to kill you, Minji, not me.
This gives me an idea. We should let her think that her plan worked. I could tell by the expressions on Kenny's and the police officers' faces that they were confused, but then I told them my idea and everyone seemed to be on board. In order to ensure that she would face judgment for her attempt to kill me, we needed to get her to confess, and that's when Kenny went over to her house. An hour later, Kenny drove over to her home and knocked on her door.
Oh, hey, Kenny. What brings you here?
Oh, Mom, you won't believe the day that I've had.
Did you get some bad news?
No, actually. Quite the opposite. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but Minji is dead. She went to meet some mysterious person at a restaurant and was poisoned.
Well, you don't seem too upset about it. I'm kind of surprised.
To be honest, she was kind of the wrong choice for me, you know? So whoever poisoned her did me a favor.
You really think so?
Yeah, besides, I think you were right. Maybe I should just try to find someone more like us. Someone white.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear you say that. Those Asian women are just trouble anyways. We'll find you someone white that will be a perfect match for you. I'm so happy that you came around to seeing reason.
I guess it just took me a bit longer than some people. Man, I wish I could thank whoever freed me from Minji, though.
Well, funny that you should say that because it was me.
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, when she called and said that you were getting married and then asked to meet, I knew I needed to do something drastic, and so I looked up different poisons online and found one that would work perfectly on her. Best part is that there's no way to trace it back to me.
Oh, but that's not true, Mom. After all, you were caught on videotape putting the poison in her drink. And now you've confessed to the crime as well.
It was at that moment that the police swarmed my mother-in-law's house and arrested her. Kenny had been wearing a wire the whole time, and the police had been listening. And now, with her confession, she was as good as cooked. Her trial was very short, as the evidence against her was overwhelming, and the judge quickly sentenced her to life in prison. He had decided that the fact that she had no remorse for what she had attempted to do. Once she was locked away, we were able to breathe easy and enjoyed, knowing that she had been punished for trying to steal our happiness from each other. As for her, she grew more and more miserable in prison. She constantly picked fights with her fellow inmates and nearly lost all of them. From what we heard, she spent a week in solitary confinement after she went into a rage when she saw the wedding invitation that we sent her. Maybe it had been in bad taste, but it did bring a smile to my face. Thanks for watching.